What's up, guys? This is FOBOS Knives. This is the Tier 1 BC. This is creme de la creme from FOBOS Knives. If you want to see more, stick around and I'll show you what we got. I've reviewed a couple of FOBOS knives at this point, and what I find is consistency in the type of quality that you could expect from this knife brand. I can honestly say this is probably one of the best fit and finish, well-performing, great designed knives out there right now. It's really that good. Now, if we look at the Tier 1 BC, number one, highlighted this knife, obviously it's American made, American quality, American lifetime warranty. Within reason, of course, a lifetime warranty on the knife, which you could expect from buying American. Also, you got Eric Hansen, which is just at the helm. He's a disabled vet. Great guy. We've had him on Blade Talk a couple of times. Eric is just a top-notch guy in the knife industry, in the knife community rather. And I love his designs. I love his concept and his passion in terms of what he does. He just hits it out of the park with every knife. Now, this is probably his best of his lineup, constantly growing. I know he has the minis of the Tier 1 BC, which are out right now, which are outrageous. They're pretty much all the quality you're getting from this, but in the mini and then mini version of these. Before we even get into the knife, guys, we really need to check out the sheath. So let me actually just put the knife on the side for now. Now, this particular sheath, I don't know if it's a special order. I know this Eric had sent this to me with the sample of this knife. I know most of them come from knife companies. They come in with the Kydex sheath, but this is particularly the leather sheath that this particular one came with, and it is just absolutely fantastic. The versatility of this thing is phenomenal. So you have the clips here that you can open up. You have your dangler here where you can adjust it from here and you can make it a little bit tighter, okay, there, or you can keep it, just have a little bit more of a sway. So let's just say for argument's purposes, we're going to kind of button it up a little closer. It's a little bit of a tighter dangler. Then you have your scout carry. If you want to carry it that way, you have your buttons here, kind of wrap it around on this side, put it into place, and then you could do scout carry, and then you could also extend this out so it's not, the loop is not in the way. So there's a couple different ways you could carry this thing. You can tie some paracord if you want from the side here, just to have some excess. You have some extra holes that you can just play around with. This is kind of like a leather version of a Kydex sheath. It's that versatile, and it's just so pretty. I mean, it's so well made. I mean, this is just a highlight in what they do in terms of their Kydex and their leather sheath. Love the stamp, the FOBOS stamp there, the stitching, the durability, and the quality of this leather. I absolutely love. Big fan of how they give you the sheath. Okay, guys, now this particular knife, it's BC. I would assume that stands for bushcrafting. I think it stands for something else, but this is probably I mean, listen, if you want to kind of break down this knife, you have the handle, and the handles on all the FOBOS knives are absolutely incredibly comfortable. Now, if I had to have any cons on this handle whatsoever, and it's so minute, it's not even really a factor, because once you hold it in your hand, it's comfortable. I would want this a little bit more of a girth, a little bit wider, but really, honestly, when you finally get it into your hand and you hold it and you use it, it's really no issue whatsoever. If I had to change anything whatsoever, I would make this have this a little bit wider to kind of fill up your hand a little bit more, like maybe like the Cacula or something like that. But other than that, this thing, the way it's designed and the way it's made, it's so incredibly well balanced and great quality that it's just, the jimping here, you have the jimping on the side, on the top, and you also have a jimping if you wanted to use it on reverse grip. You have really generous jimping there as well. So it's just, there's a couple of ways that you can kind of hold this and get comfortable with it. Blade is a MAGNICUT. Now, I haven't had experience with MAGNICUT before, so I'm really curious to see. I mean, it's definitely sharp. I mean, the sharpness level of this thing is absolutely phenomenal right out of the box. I haven't cut anything with this whatsoever. It's cut some paper, which it did extremely well. I'm going to try to maybe do some static cuts on some water bottles to let you know how sharp it is initially. But everything about the handle, it's a carbon fiber handle, that beautiful red liner. I mean, aesthetically, they're just gorgeous knives. I mean, the expert work on the swedging is just phenomenally beautiful. Okay, it's kind of like almost like a harpoon, but not quite. But just the design of their knives in terms of the swedging, and has a special cutout here just to strike a ferro rod. So that's what basically completes this as an excellent excellent bushcrafting knife. Along with the fact that you have your fighting grip, this is good, a good self-defense knife, good penetration because of the swedging work. It's just a really, geometrically, it's a perfectly beautiful and aesthetically beautiful knife, but it's a perfectly usable in terms of a cutting knife, a slicing knife, everything that you want to do with it. It's a great bushcrafting knife from what I see, but it's also a good utilitarian knife. This knife does a lot of things really, really well. We're going to basically touch upon its bushcrafting capability and see how it works in terms of the chopping of the wood and all that. And also, I'm going to reverse it around a little bit. I'm going to probably do some wood chopping first, and we're going to do the industrial material cutting afterwards to see how the edge retention holds up on this MAGNICUT, which I'm really excited to see. Blade profile is absolutely gorgeous on this, and I'm so glad they made the mini versions of this, because this is definitely something in a mini version I would definitely want to carry around every day. It's a little bit big to carry around as an EDC depending on where you live, but on a mini version with this type of blade design and all that, it's awesome. But as a camping knife, I think this thing is going to do well. Initial sharpness is really good. Two ways of holding this. You could either basically jimp it up over here and use a jimping on the top, or you could really take a really tight grip. You have that really generous finger choil right there that you can basically really tighten up on it to get more of a firmer grip. So let's try basically setting yourself back to see how that feels cutting on that angle there. So these are first initial cuts, guys. That recurve in the blade makes for really easy cutting or easy processing on wood, but you can see the curls that this thing is taking already. It feels so good in the hands. I mean, the comfort of the handles is probably one of my favorite things of FOBOS knives, is that comfort that you have in the handle, that really, that jimping that's not aggressive but very effective is, I'm a big fan of. Especially if you want to use this without gloves, no hot spots whatsoever. Just incredibly comfortable. But initially I can see the sharpness level of this knife, the geometric with the recurve in the blade is handling itself very effectively. And even the front, if you want to work the front and use that jimping there to really get some fine curls, you can definitely do that too. I mean, look at that. Just absolutely beautiful. Now, let's try to basically take a little tighter grip using the finger choil and really getting your thumb a little bit further down into the blade so you have more control of the point. Awesome. Big difference. If you want to do some really more fine work, if you're looking to get like to the point, maybe make some spikes, set up a tent, or as a spear for self-defense, you can definitely do that if you take that tighter grip and really get those fine points made up. But the sharpness is excellent. Excellent. I mean, if this is a testament of what MAGNICUT is, I'm already a big fan of it, because it is really acting like an amazing slicer. I mean, look at that. Nice detail work, being able to get that really nice tight grip. You know, but if you want to set yourself back, then it turns into, because you have enough purchase on the handle to really set yourself back, so then it adds a chopper, in which, again, this is not a chopper. It's not really what it's meant to. But we're also going to test out how rigid the handle is and how tough this thing is. And I'm a big fan. I know how tough these knives are. I know how tough that pommel is here, how solid that thing is, that you know, skull crusher, whatever you want to call it. I was breaking bricks with this thing on the other knives I tested. You know, breaking cinder block. We're going to test that out on this as well. But in terms of the slicing capability, guys, outrageous. Loving it, absolutely loving it. Love that recurve. That's a phenomenal wood cutter. It really is. I haven't stropped this. I haven't done anything suited to this, and this thing really handles itself well. And I love that tighter grip you can get with that finger choil there. Gives you a whole new dimension of control over the point and the edge of this thing. Such a pleasure. Such a pleasure to use. Such a pleasure to hold. Yeah, big fan already. I didn't do much, but just processing some wood, really phenomenally good. Unibody construction of that full tang, the extended pommel, which can act as more of a handle when you're holding it on a reverse grip, but it's really honestly, it's just a crusher. It's definitely a solid crusher on the end. I call it the mercy side. This is the mercy side and this is the deadly side. So if you want the mercy side, you definitely get some nice hits in with this, and you'll be able to kind of defend your life with it. Very tough. Extremely tough knife, man. Yeah, that'll definitely leave a mark. You want to be on the other end of that thing. And just because look at that, right there. Look at that. No dents, no chips. Obviously some of the paint came off, but this thing is still tough. Nothing this large in terms of the handle. The pins, well, the screws are still pretty tight. Absolutely no issue. So I stand behind, seriously, how tough this knife really is and how solid the construction is. When you can kind of slam this thing into wood, that's one thing, but when you can kind of hit it into a piece of cinder block and not have any chips or any problems with the pommel, that's pretty damn good. And the fact is, you know, the friction and the vibrations that move along, nothing else happened. That's impressive. Very impressive. Again, guys, we're not trying to abuse the knife, because hey, listen, if you want to break a knife, any knife can break. It's definitely, I wouldn't say this is completely Joe X proof, because if Joe X wants to break this, he's going to break it. What we're doing is, we're just doing a little hard use. Just if you wanted to make up a bow drill or something like that, if you want to make up a hole, can this knife do for you? If you're bushcrafting and you got to kind of make up a hole to kind of pass something through or whatever. Can the point hold up? Will the point fail on you? That's all we're trying to test right now. And I'm just convinced it'll be fine, because this knife is extremely tough. worst batana, and this is not really a straight piece of wood here, but this is more just to show you the rigidness and the toughness of the blade and the edge. And the fact that you could also set yourself back a little bit. Yeah, listen, I'm not going easy on this knife. I'm beating the shit out of it a little bit. Now we're going to go into some more slicing with it to see how the MAGNICUT, after really putting a lot of pressure on the edge and the point, how this thing is held up. Still very sharp. Yeah, it's still very, very sharp. Still slicing sharp. So the edge retention is there, man. This MAGNICUT is no joke, guys. It is no joke. You know, the slicing capability did not leave this knife at all, for sure. Still pretty damn excellent. Good measure to see how that slices. No issue whatsoever. Yeah, this is still a really good slicing knife, guys. This is a copper wire. Slices that with no problem. I sliced this off camera on the ratchet strap. Let's try the ferro rod on that little lip there. See how that works. Definitely a good spark there. Actually almost made a fire here. That completes the usability of a good bushcrafting knife. It's a hell of a strong knife, guys. I always have to end my test with a little, even though these are not made to chop as chopping knives, it's definitely got the purchase here that you can really set yourself back and really get some nice strings on it. And you got enough beef on the blade, enough width on the blade. If you need to use it as a chopper, batoner, it can do it. This is a great, great outdoorsy knife, guys. Really very impressive, very tough. And MAGNICUT is also impresses me as a first go at it as well. Not bad. Lastly, guys, steel belted sandblast hose. I usually use this. I usually test the knife at the beginning of the test. We're doing everything reverse because I want to see how the MAGNICUT is holding up after all the abuse, you know, reasonable abuse I put on the edge, just pushing it really hard, banging it into things, slamming into wood. We're going to do this afterwards. So if there's anything left in this MAGNICUT, let's see how well it's going to cut through the steel belted hose. Yeah. Fantastic. Really, really fantastic. I have knives out of the box. I tested on this steel belted hose that didn't go through as quick as this did at the end of the test, at the end of all the other abuse I did to it. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Really very, very impressed with this MAGNICUT. And if we can just try to get a close up of the edge here. Seems like everything is kosher. The point looks good. Everything looks mighty fine. This is a good freaking knife. Still shredding, guys, still shredding. Denim, ratchet strap, whatever. Still very, very sharp. FOBOS Knives, guys, tier 1 BC, cream of the crop for there as far as their knives go. MAGNICUT, very impressed with MAGNICUT, very impressed with the design of this knife, how rigid and tough this thing is, slamming this into cinder block, everything that all the abuse I put into it, and how I reversed it this time and did all the fine slicing on the industrial materials afterwards, and it still kept a crazy sharp edge. I mean, I gotta tell you, to the touch, guys, this thing is great. Let's do the fingernail test to see if there's anything on the edge that concerns me. And other than the smudge on it, I don't really feel any chips or anything like that, but nothing that really stops my thumb from gliding in like it's on glass. So, and visually, I really can't see anything wrong with the point, no bends or anything like that. Everything is great. Struck a ferro rod pretty well, even though I suck at making a fire, but definitely got some sparks coming out of here. It did a great job, and it's still a very solid knife. And I mean, I could do another 2 reviews on this thing with everything that I did with it, and it'll still kind of pass with flying colors. So it just it's quality stuff, guys. I'm a big fan of FOBOS Knives, big fan of Eric, his philosophy in terms of how he approaches the handles, the comfort of the handles, and it's all about the end user, you know, for operators, by operators. That's basically what it is, and that's what FOBOS stands for. So this is one of the last knives I have from FOBOS, and I gotta tell you, I saved this for last because I knew it was the best. Very, very impressed with this. Very impressed with the sheath, everything about it, how solid this thing is. One of my favorite brands right now, FOBOS Knives, guys. Thanks for sticking around, guys. And before you leave, definitely take a look at this video coming up next, some other FOBOS Knives reviews. And if you like what you've seen, guys, as always, your support and your subscription always helps me to be able to give you more reviews like this. So that's it, guys. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.